streaming on a mobile device somewhere.
Viewers 0.
Viewers 0.
but the option
they'll
exists.
get here. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's listen, I don't know if you listened or watched.
I didn't, and your audio ducked out, and I didn't hear what you said. Did you say something about a different theme song?
Yeah, just a fart joke for the theme song. Yeah. Listen, if this episode looks or feels weird to people, it's because it is.
It's a strange episode, and it's strange for a variety of reasons. First of all, it's the Comics Place presents a perfectly acceptable comic book podcast, a weekly occurrence wherein, a gathering of several enthusiasts of comic books, usually associated with the Comics Place, comic shop in Bellingham, Washington, gather to talk about the things that excited them that week in the world of comics and the books that they read. And it's crazy. I was in Japan just recently, and I missed 2 Wednesdays. And like halfway between those Wednesdays, I texted a very exclusive thread of comic book people, like Adam Freeman and Brian Garside and Shannon Marriott and Django, to ask, like, does anyone know, like, they're always like, hey, what's the good shop to get to in like Worcestershire, Massachusetts? And like somebody invariably is like, oh, you want to go here onto this street. So I was like, does anyone have any leads on finding any Western comics anywhere in Japan? And everyone was like, yeah, no.
There isn't one, man. As far as I could tell, it just doesn't really exist.
Okay. You're right. That's true. But you know what also?
What's that?
So check this out. There's a city in Japan called Kyoto. And in the city of Kyoto,
heard of it?
Roman is the Kyoto International Museum of Manga.
Oh.
And it is a museum in the like most wholly logical sense of the word. Like, there is an old man who oversees it, and he was clearly like, okay, well, we got to get 1 volume of every single manga volume of every single manga series ever and put it here and put it in order and allow people to come in and read all of it. And so it's a living collection of every volume of every series I've ever heard of, billions I hadn't. And all of it, you can just pay the $9 to spend all day in there and sit down and just read. And they have a room called the Masterpiece Room, and it's all, going back to like World War II series that they consider masterpieces. So go to this room to read all of the great manga ever. And so that, very, very cool. Yeah, but in one of the rooms, sorry, this is what I was getting to. They had a whole room where every year they would find, like, I don't know what was the curated list, but they would get all the significant graphic novels from all of the different countries that were up for these awards. And they had Japanese manga translations of all of it. So it was like all of Marvel and DC, like Chip Zdarsky's Batman run, like, was all there translated into Japanese and English versions in this room for you to just go and read, because they're like, well, yeah, like, manga is related to Western comics. And if we wanted to have a museum about manga, like, we would need to have all of the Western comics as well. It was the coolest building ever.
So do they say things like comics is manga? Because we say manga is comics.
Yeah. They referred to that room. This is poor timing for them. I mentioned to Sam, I gotta remember, they called the room the Gaiman Room, Gaimmen. Anyway, pronounced like the author, who's not somebody you want to name a room after. But it is because gaijin is the word for foreigner, and min is some other word. So Gaiman is their way of referring to foreign comics. So that's what they were referring to those as. But
Gaiman is manga.
Yeah. but yeah, I don't know exactly where those umbrellas exist in their mind. I think, you know, they were referring to, I think manga is kind of their term for comics, but
right.
has probably anyway. Yeah. And in that same building, okay, for the last, like, since 2003 or so, any prolific like mangaka that comes to the museum for, you know, like a exhibit or a discussion or a reading, because they're also doing like theater there, they do an incredibly detailed plaster cast mold of their hand holding a pencil.
Oh.
So there was like 3 walls lined of incredibly detailed plaster molds of hands, and then it had their name and a sketch that they would do behind it. So you could see, you know, tons of hands and like the unique wrinkles that come with holding a pencil that way for that long. You know, it just absolutely incredible. I was just thinking about Ashton, but in that room specifically, you're not allowed to take pictures. So I couldn't translate all of the names because Google Translate turns out saved our lives over there.
Wait, why were you not allowed to take pictures there?
Just that one room, and probably that, like, those plaster hands. It said, like, in the room, the description, like, we've gotten permission from the artist to, like, have their hands on display here. So maybe it could be some sort of, like, repurposed, like, exposing their hands places. But also, it just felt like kind of the heart of an exhibit. Like,
okay.
Like that room, seeing those hands, like, it really feels like you were looking at the hands of these people, and like then a sketch behind it. Like, they're just incredibly detailed. Yeah,
That's really cool.
We went to this 30th anniversary of Evangelion exhibit on the 52nd floor of this crazy building in Tokyo. And what you could and couldn't photograph in there was also very nuanced. So it could also just be a part of like Japanese, you know, display museum culture.
I think that the hand casts are a much more dialed in thing than like, also cool, but Isotope has people drawing toilet seats.
Yeah, and that's
right.
That is very good.
Yeah, but hand casts, sorry, James, hand casts are a little bit more awesome.
Yeah,
even more awesome.
I don't know. They do a sketch behind the hand casting, so they might as well just do the sketch on the toilet seat, put the cast mold in front of it.
East meets West.
Best of both worlds. So, like we said, it's a comic book podcast, usually associated with the folks from the Comics Place in Bellingham, Washington. Again, I just got back. I don't know what time it is, or how to sleep, or how to nourish
Jeff,
myself.
It's noon.
Yes,
it's noon right now. It's noon tomorrow. Right.
Excellent.
Now,
that's the mental gymnastics. So at some point, I'll probably just die in the middle of this. But until then, let me distract from the fact that I haven't really read any comics from this week.
Oh, no, it's we're not talking about comics this week. We're just talking about Japan.
Man, I tell you what, I said that a lot while I was there. And I don't know why, but I started a lot of thoughts with, I tell you what. So that's interesting.
That's pretty good.
You get busy in your life, you know, and like things happen, and you know, it's easy to naturally fill your daily life, even the wonderful, pleasurable parts of it, with things that kind of exist in counterbalance to like the obligations and the things that you do as an adult and your work and the people in your life. And it is very interesting to go to like Japan and be inundated with like anime and manga is certainly more influential to my development than Western comics were. Like from birth to 16 for sure. Like, and I've loved that stuff forever. And, you know, I've loved Western comics. I really got into those like in high school and stuff. And then getting a job at the comic shop is like a dream, and you get to work with comics, right?
Mhm.
But a byproduct of that is that I sort of prioritized Western comic reading over anime and manga, as well as like anime and manga, having a fair amount of associations with some things from your past, so you can kind of bury those sometimes. So it's very interesting to like have kept my love of anime and manga alive through engaging in Western comics, and not really realize that like I had kind of actively filled the space of manga and
Right.
anime with Western comics. Um, Professionally, because we get to do things like talk on this podcast, because we get the privilege of like reading weekly comics and being a sommelier to people on Wednesday that come in and want opinions and stuff.
Right.
To then go to a place where you're like, boom, like the streets are lined with giant flashing lights of every character that you used to have to fight to have any exposure to as a child,
Right.
and to have it be 7 stories high in these tiny buildings that are all like 20 feet by 40 feet, and then 7 floors of just it's
Man.
in it. It's a very powerful experience to like return to something that is very formative to your development, and be thrown so deeply into it in such an overwhelming way that like could only be a positive thing. But I'm sure everybody could have some version of that with whatever that thing is from their childhood that we all kind of know that we love, but maybe forget to engage in all the time like we did when
Sure.
we had all the time and the money and the freedom in the world of children,
Well,
who don't have
so
any money. But
yeah, we gain children in so many ways. Some of our
yeah,
children are made of meat, and some of our children are made of businesses,
oh,
and
it's
some of our
true.
children are made of,
Podcasts.
whatever, podcasts or
Yeah.
family or like it all everything can kind of take you away from the thing that distracted you when you were a kid. Because dang, when you were a kid, you didn't have to pay any rent.
Yeah.
Like so many things you didn't have to think about. You didn't have to
Yeah.
think about, well, maybe some of us didn't have to think about parasocial relationships or what
Right.
that even
Well,
means.
yeah, I was super into that at 9, but
Did you read
yeah,
any manga while you were over there, or like engage in any anime? Like,
I
it's a whole
watched.
different acceptance of comics and
Yeah.
cartoons there.
Yeah. Well, so I did have the pleasure of buying a ton of manga and art books for Ashton Lucaris, who works at the comic shop, and who is one day going to go to Japan, and who I just sort of carried with me as a little guy on my shoulder the whole time that I was there. So I got to buy a lot of manga for him. There's this whole thing where you take off your sweatshirt. There's this whole thing where you get to like buy stuff tax free. So like duty free. If you spend like 5,500 yen, they take off like 10% of the total, because
Okay.
they scan your passport and they're tracking you and where you're buying stuff. And then they tell you that you have to keep that stuff sealed until you go to the airport and go out of immigrations,
Okay.
so that they know that you're not using it in the country and therefore should have paid tax on it. So like I
Interesting.
I had to surrender the cool Adidas that I bought for the trip and abandon them for a pair of no touch slip-on Skechers,
Okay.
like full on Django shoes,
Uh-huh.
like midway through the trip, because I was like, my back, I can't do this. But I paid for that tax free, and I shouldn't have. I robbed Japan of
Right.
like $8 there because I was wearing those immediately. But anyway, the manga, all that stuff, mostly stayed sealed.
Uh-huh.
But we were watching a ton of anime on like Netflix and stuff, because like hotels now you can just like QR code your Netflix on, which is amazing.
Oh, nice.
Innovative traveling.
Did you get different show? This doesn't matter.
No. it
Your
doesn't. But
trip
yeah.
is way more interesting
No,
than what I'm about to
it's
ask. But did you
I-
get regional specific Japanese Netflix, or did you get America Netflix?
so like it leaned more Japanese. It was showing like the main popular things in Japan at that
Mhm.
time. When we were in Scotland, Scottsdale, like there was just full on like networks that you wouldn't have access to in Netflix. Like normally you would watch all of these shows, or like Hulu, you're watching
Right.
your ABC shows and they're just not there.
Right.
So
But
that was
they're
more
streaming on Netflix in some places or whatever.
Yeah, but YouTube TV didn't allow any football to be viewed in Japan. So like we didn't watch a single any football at all.
Well, it is known as America's pastime.
Exactly. No, and I get that. Also, oh, yeah.
But go on.
Well, just the final night we had dinner, and not to like bring super politics into our comic book podcast, but we were, seated in the like, we have to have the one of the two English speaking waiters go to that corner to help these people. So Sam and I were seated next to two couples from Albuquerque that had met up in Tokyo for some sushi, and they were like rich
Red hats,
conservative, just like all of the things that you hear that people are saying, but you're like, yeah, probably the worst of people are. They were just like knocking them off with a list sitting next to us. And I was just like, oh my God, like these amazing servers are going to think that we're associated with this garbage. And so we were just kind of dreading being embroiled in a conversation with them at some point. And
Antifa gargles with the rendered fat of children.
The really what perked my ears up was the intolerance is getting intolerable. And you're just like, yeah, but I'm ready to move. I'm ready to move out of New Mexico. Yeah, we'll go to California. Is it any better? Like, yeah, just
it's
like
gotta be, right?
But near the end of the evening, they had been drinking, and I'm weird. So like at that point, I had been recording the audio of them sitting next to us. And like on cue, I had stopped and then started again. And like 9 seconds later, the guy's like, "So where are you two from?" And I'm like, Vancouver, BC. And they're like, "Oh, Vancouver, great town. One of the guys is like, "I worked on the Vancouver aquarium. We're still working on the Vancouver aquarium." And I'm just like, "You're pretty good." Like I take on a kind of like Larry David, like, "Yeah, pretty good, pretty good." And like they're asking him, Sam and us all these questions, but I realize I'm wearing my Comics Place sweatshirt,
right?
Because the whole trip was a tax write-off for advertising purposes. So, but I like immediately had to like cover my Bellingham, Washington like thing, and I'm just like awkwardly trying to talk to them, and like Sam, is just like, we don't sound like Canadians at all. So, but I got this immediate like big fear, like, oh my God, they're gonna know that I'm not from Canada, and like we're gonna be in trouble, and like you can hear it in the audio of the recording of our interaction. So,
oh, buddy,
yeah, I'm excited to get that to people.
All you got to do when you encounter that situation next time is if they call you out on it, you're just like, no, I'd rather be a liar than associated with you.
Yeah, well, I had a whole list of the things I wanted to say when we left if we had not yet engaged. Like,
right.
The country's waiting for you to die off. We'll be better without you. Like all that sort of stuff. But as it turns out, what Vancouver Jeff does is he says, "Well, enjoy the rest of your trip. God bless." And I've got a great audio recording of me dropping a God bless on him.
So that's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. So like, ups and downs of great restaurants are that
hills and valleys.
They'll seat you with the like other Americans, and it's a bummer.
Did you? Yeah. So you took a couple years of Japanese in school, right? Were you able to use it? Were you able to recall it? Was it completely humiliating? Like when I was in China, I don't know what I said, but the entire restaurant laughed at me when I asked for the check.
Well,
and I think my ascending or descending was wrong.
yeah.
That's it.
So
It was the right word.
ascending and descending are totally things, you know,
Yeah.
like it's much more of a song than English is.
Yeah.
And there is a thing about the name Jeff. So it took one restaurant reservation under the name Jeff to realize that we were not doing that again.
Really?
Yeah, like they all have an in joke about Jeffs. Like they made sure that all the people that worked there knew that Jeff was here now, and like, you know, there's that whole like, my name is Jeff or whatever, or like there's a thing that like it's the fake name that companies give to like tech support workers when they want them to seem like they're American. It's like there's a whole, I had to Google it afterwards because like they know something that I don't know, and like they had a fun time. It was a very fancy restaurant. It was like the most like a restaurant I'd ever been. There was like the Bear, like just amazing, sitting there. They're making it in front of you and saying very few words to each other, except for all stopping to laugh at Jeff. Like when I arrived and when we left, it was like awesome. But in answer to your question, you know how you're watching those like crazy documentaries about Mormonism and they'll be like, oh, and then I had all these like repressed memories come back all of a sudden, or that's where I most recently was watching it. I was just like having language memories come back that I had totally forgotten. So like we'd just be walking and I'd like a phrase would come into my head and I'd be like, oh, I know how to pronounce that and I know what that is and I can say that now. Things that like haven't rattled loose in.
And then you walk up to the bus
years.
station and order a cup of coffee.
Yeah, exactly. It's like very John Wick.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the first like 2 or 3 days, it was like overcoming the awkwardness of being willing to say things like, you know, gomenasai, which is like sorry, or like, you know, arigato gozaimasu, or, you know, just the base number phrase like oishi, like this is delicious, utsukishi, or utsukishi, beautiful. You spend a couple days like being like, am I gonna do that? Am I gonna do that? Right. And then you get there and you're like, you know, you've gotten to the threshold and you spend like 5 or 6 days like saying it and being kind of comfortable, being like, all right, they're taking it pretty well. And then you get to the point where you're like, arigato gozaimasu, thank you very much. And you realize that they're way more comfortable with you speaking English to them than you trying to awkwardly speak Japanese to them. So like I went through this whole like getting used to it, getting comfortable with it, and then phasing it out. Cause like they, you know, as a group of people who are very tolerant of a huge number of tourists effing their S up, they're like very, as a community, seem very wanting to make sure everyone is comfortable, which is so antithetical to like America, where we're just like, and I retroactively remove all of the we's and they's that I'm saying, because I'm not trying to group an entire, you know, nation of people down to a statement. But
all right, yeah, we can edit those out. I guess.
Yeah, good. I love it. Yeah, all of it. But yeah, it like you would go into a store and like a record store, and the guy working would like really want to make sure that you enjoyed your time there and felt comfortable and like got something out of it. And there was no part of him that like felt good making sure that you know less than him, or like that he's cooler because he works there. Or there was one place I went in the entire time and it was a death metal vinyl record store. So like that's part pretty niche. Yeah, like exactly. And it was like the one place where I was like, oh, I feel like I'm bad for being here. I'm sorry. I'm not cool.
Well, okay, but so
but that's my own shit too.
Yeah, like think about when somebody from another country comes into our store. I guess yeah. When it's more comfortable when they try English than when they speak their own language, right? Like as the person behind the counter.
Yeah, for us, I think it's
what makes sense.
Right. The benefit of the role reversal is that, you know, 60% of folks over there seemed to speak some level of English.
Right.
So like, you know, they know, like if you're just like me and you like do the dumb wave and like you say thank you and you like genuinely kind of feel it when you say that,
Right.
like that was going a long way in
Yeah.
my interactions with people. Just like, you know, they knew that I was very grateful. And yeah, like, dude, so like Japan, very cool stuff over there. Lots of things that you could do. There is a place, they have like hot springs culture, right? So like there's hot springs and it's a very old culture. You go in, you're like naked, you shower off beforehand. Onsens, they're called. But most onsen don't allow people to come in if you have a tattoo. And
Okay.
like I can take or leave being allowed to go into the onsen, but Sam loves baths and has for years and was like very into the idea of going to an onsen. So we had researched like trying to find a place where we could, you know, be able to get in an onsen because she's covered in tattoos. You know, we were looking into like laser removal, but there are not many places. But we found this incredibly bougie, fancy place in a town called Hakone, which I learned during the trip that that's where Neon Genesis Evangelion, one of my favorite things, takes place.
Mm-hmm.
So like I got to visit the lake there and I got to go to like Evangelion store and like, you know, see photographs of like where the angels were coming through mountains. And but this fancy place, we stayed there because their thing was that each of the rooms had their own private onsen. So you could get hot spring water to your like direct little room. So
nice.
tattooed people would be able to. Is that a thing where you can cover tats up with bandages? Yes. There are like total workaround ways. Like I could have covered my tattoos. Sam has just all over her body. So we were like looking into like full body, like flesh suits. And it was
wow.
It started to get kind of just like, I'm fine just doing it in the room.
Right.
The place we stayed in Kyoto did allow her to like go into the onsen with tattoos and stuff. But because we stayed in this place that had the private onsens, it had included in it 2 dinner meals because it was like a bougie place that I would never have stayed at knowingly ever. But like you're walking around in a yakuta with sandals and like on tatami mats and like, you know, they care about your appearance everywhere you go. But the first night was like a chef course, like, you know,
like a prefix dinner.
Yeah, like with all these different courses. And the lady was like, this is like super fancy, like, you know, and she was like, you know, not speaking as casually as I am. But she was like, you know, this one's like a fancy one. And then tomorrow night you'll go to this other one where like they cook it in front of you and it's much better than the one you're going to go to tonight. and I was
you
like,
can just wear a button-up shirt and no tie to that one.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know exactly what she meant, but like, turns out that she was alluding to like this first chef course is like old style bathhouse course meal. So like hardcore old Japanese food, which as a guy who like, you know, doesn't eat a ton of meat and does like fish or like
prone to bubble guts.
I thought that I liked seafood, you know, like I love seafood. Who requires vegetation in my diet. Like, you know, I didn't think it was going to be crazy, but I got a video that I sent to Django in the midst of it. Cause like, it is a crazy, but anyway, that was like 7 days into the trip. And that server who had kept kind of delivering the different things was starting to have fun with me being like totally overwhelmed and like terrified of the food and clearly felt obligated to be eating all of it. And like, you know, like she brought like a special hollowed out crab head with all like the brown meat that was a special additional gift from the chef because, you know, they were having such fun poking
they asked
at
the
us.
Jeff chef to help.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was funny in some spots. Like it was all very respectful until I got to find my little places where I was like, okay, like this person can handle the fact that I am uncomfortable right now, and I'm going to deal with it by being kind of funny, and I hope that they're cool with that. And it was
Nice.
very rewarding when that happened. The second night, the one that was the better dinner, I think was the most, it's the most memorable, and I think the best meal I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
It was amazing. And like this
Cooked
one,
fish.
yeah, no, it was, oh, buddy. So like the beef over there, like they've got way less land space to be devoting to raising huge numbers of cattle poorly like we
Yeah.
do, you know, like
Yeah.
tons of low grade meat. They're like, okay, so we're going to go the other way. We're going to have less cows and make sure that it's really, really high quality meat. And so like, they're just super into that over there. Like Wagyu beef.
Right.
Yeah. Amazing. We had this one just like specific chef who he made the whole meal for us, and his Hondo, and he was just the sweetest man in the entire world, and he like explained everything to us and like kind of gave us each little bit, and we got to have each bite, and it was just absolutely incredible and special, and like absolutely a scene from White Lotus. Or is that what that show is?
Yeah.
Yeah, like just the most, like I just felt so insufferable the whole time. Like, you know, all these people being so wonderful to you as a rich, entitled person walking. I'm trying to have a cathartic experience in my robe. It was so awesome. But like, yeah, but it didn't feel as
You don't have to
terrible.
call me sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, exactly. But do make sure that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. As a 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, except for would have liked more Western comics.
So you were in 2 big cities, 3 big cities.
We were in 2 big cities, Tokyo and Kyoto, and then
Okay.
Hakone is a small sort of hot spring town
Cool.
that, you know, there's like, we rode the lifts up to the sulfur mines and got to see Mount Fuji, and you know that you're like taking
That's where
trains.
they mine the film, right?
Exactly. That's exactly where they do it. Yeah. And it's crazy. We ate the like black eggs that give you an additional 7 years. So like I've got
What?
like
Who
8 or
are
9 locked in. I know. I ate a sulfuric black cooked egg.
Did you like it?
It was fine. It was like a hard-boiled egg that needed some salt, pepper, and garlic, because that's how I like my hard-boiled eggs, and I like hard-boiled eggs, so
Okay.
it was pretty good.
Right.
Yeah, nothing. The yolk was totally cooked, and
Okay.
that's where stuff
That's a
starts to
deal
get a little
breaker.
weird for me. Is, you know, like how deep yellow is that
Right.
yolk?
Did you encounter food that made you super uncomfortable beyond just like raw something or other, like a cut that seemed untenable to you, or an
Yeah.
animal or a vegetable that
Yeah.
didn't make sense?
Well, yeah. Yeah. So the first restaurant that we went in, you know, many of the restaurants are geared towards like ordering a ton of small plates. So
Uh-huh.
you're like using your app to put like 9 different $4 things onto a thing.
I love that shit.
It is so awesome.
Yeah.
It's so good. And in America, anytime you go anywhere and buy anything, you're like, okay, I'll pay that. Like that's about 10 or 15% more than I think this should be charging. In Japan, it's like everything is like, yeah, okay, yeah. Yes, everything
Good
is
price.
the right price.
Yeah.
So you're just ordering all this amazing food and they're bringing it to you. But yeah, there was one that was grilled chicken shiro, and I was like, yeah, put it on there. And that was the one I had sent a message to the group about. Sam like took a bite and she was like, I think this is like maybe I don't think this is just like your average chicken meat. And like at that point, you know, it was like day 2 or something, and I was feeling the fact that like we had gotten into a restaurant and we had gotten food. Like
Right.
it was our first. That was a big success. So I was like feeling my oats, and I was like, nah, it's fine. And I grabbed it and just like took a big bite, and like there is some neural passage from the brain to the stomach, and like as soon as she said chicken intestines, like large intestines, it matched with like the sensation that I was having in my jaw and like how much I was trying to work just to like separate apart to be able to swallow, because like it was all so connected, like densely connected. And like that,
Maybe that's a feature, not a bug.
shamefully, like, yeah, maybe it's a feature, not a bug. Shamefully, that mental recognition and then the awareness that it was just slithering around in me, like, messed up my digestion for like 12 hours. Also, there was like the flu rate was 6 times higher over the last 3 weeks in Japan, and it's
you
a
brought
flu.
it with you.
Well, it's a flu that spiked after the most recent batch of flu vaccine was made. So I got the flu vaccine like a week before I left, less than that, like 5 days before I left, I got the COVID and flu vaccine. So I was like still feeling kind of garbagey, and I got there, and then I'm eating like intestines, and it was a lot of withdrawals, sleep deprivation, crazy food diet. Hard to say what those flu-like symptoms were a result of, but they were certainly present from something.
So James Burke wants to know if you had any of the street food.
We did get some street food. Didn't go super ham on anything really exotic,
because it was all chicken intestines.
Well,
no ham intestines.
James Burke gave me some wonderful supportive wisdom advice just before leaving for Japan. So I was thinking about him a lot while I was there, actually, which was wonderful. And I, listened to Nebraska by Bruce Springsteen like 112 times, and
that's a healthy number of times.
Made it through the book that the movie was based on, and now I'm like about halfway through Bruce Springsteen's autobiography. So like all of that was very James Burke as well. So James was on my mind, as well as Bruce Springsteen. Bummer. But I did have some incredible octopus that was like a avocado octopus ceviche thing at the restaurant that was like the Bear, that like had the best like fresh onions shredded into it, and they served it to us in the like half avocado, and it was awesome. And like when we walked in, that was the place that was very into my name, and like they immediately, I heard the lady say like like, we need an English menu for these guys, because like we were hi, and like they have pretty much separate menus at all the restaurants, which is excellent, but like ego des, like English, like these idiots aren't going to be able to use the menu. But there was there was a guy standing next to us, and he was just like plowing through stuff, and he, before they even said that, like passed us an English menu, and I was like, okay. So I was like kind of clocking this guy, and at one point, he was like 5 dishes into his incredibly fancy, amazing meal at this place that was stupendous. The Bear was proud. He like got a huge spaghetti thing, and then another huge dish showed up, and like I saw on his face this moment of like, oh fuck, like, all right, let's go. Like it was just like, I'm here, I'm alone, this is way too much food. But by the end of like the meal, I was like, I just kind of took a shot, and I was like, you are a badass, sir. And he was like, oh my God, well, so I was here yesterday, and I was like you, and I just timidly got stuff, and he's like, so I had to come back today and just order everything I didn't get yesterday. So he was just actually speaking English to me. So like anytime I was in a situation where I could speak English to somebody, it was immediately, there was a camaraderie. One of the nights at the Hot Spring, we were in the bar, and I heard some people speaking English, and I got so excited about walking up to them and saying, I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I noticed I could, and I got excited. So I went over to them and said that, and then I finished it by saying, I actually I didn't hear anything you said, I just got excited about saying that. But it was pretty funny. But yeah, that guy he was awesome. And he was from Denver and was 50 days into a 60-day trip there. So
Wow.
James Burke had mentioned that he went to Japan for a period of time. I can't remember what he said. And then he went back alone for a month, I believe. And like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that's what this guy we met at the restaurant also did. And like, I would do as well. Like it, yeah. I mean, so Django, you've been to China. So like, you know about that language barrier. Roman, have you been in a just totally non-English speaking place?
Glasgow.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, not really.
That's
It's pretty
like,
close though, right?
Yeah.
it's just the ease in, ease out of it is like crazy. And for me, and I'm gonna broadly assume for everybody, but I know that's not true. Like it is awkward to like get into having like being willing to have foolish seeming broken language conversations with strangers to just get the bare minimum of your life done, you know?
I think my advantage was that I didn't know any Chinese.
Yeah.
So I either had a translator or I looked like such an idiot that they took pity on me and just figured out what I needed.
Yeah. But I, you know, my Jeff Box vision of Django is somebody who'd be like, well, gonna have to be pretty uncomfortable, so I guess we'll just do that for a while, you know? And like, and that would be a decision that you would have made on like day one and probably wouldn't have thought of it again, you know, for whatever.
Change
so
mode.
Like, yeah. And to me, it was just like, you know, very strict substance laws over there. So you're really there with the mirror analyzing how you interact with the world, you know, and what are the difficulties you're having and why are you having them and why, you know, and then what does that say about how I interact with things at home? You know, if this is true of me here with all of this artifice stripped away, all of the things that give me comfort in being able to navigate a social situation, all of that stripped. So then where am I good and bad at interacting with people? And
so then did that make you wonder if you, like if you can work on those tools to not need the substance to smooth that over? Or do you think that the substances are an actual tool? Because I think both would be a legitimate read on it, right?
I think the substances just make it a little bit easier to distract from I was thinking a lot about the Freudian kind of model of id, ego, and super ego while I was over there. And I was like, you know, I've never really understood what super ego is. I should figure out what that is. But it's kind of the morals that are instilled in you at some point, the things that you believe to be true or not true. And for whatever reason, at some point in my development, I believed that a sober, you know, not influenced by any chemical version of yourself is the most true instance of yourself. And we're like, you know, drinking coffee and smoking cigarettes and smoking weed and
but a
cereal.
naked version of you is the most true part of you, but when it's cold you put on a jacket.
That's a very, very good point. So yeah, I guess there's a sense of like,
not to argue with your super
ego. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. That's a really great point.
Those guys are stubborn as hell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so there's something to the idea of like, I don't have any of the things that I use as crutches to like get through things. Like I certainly probably smoke weed to be less angry, and not having any of that around forced me to feel that anger through to whatever end it naturally needs to end at, you know, like process it fully rather than distracting from it. But it's a whole, you know, there's a lot of alcohol abuse over there. So like we certainly got comfortable drinking beer in the evenings, but, and for like need of sleep, like good Lord, like Sam has a prescription of Xanax for airplane concerns. You know, she gets anxious on airplanes. So like I went through that Xanax just to try and sleep. Like, just like, I'll take half a Xanax and drink a bottle of sake and hope I can fall asleep, you know, and she's just like falling asleep easily. And I get really bad night anxiety, and I have my whole life, and I kind of forgot about that because I oftentimes smoke weed in the evening to help myself fall asleep.
Right.
And then not doing that, I was like, oh wow, okay, right, I remember this feeling that I hate so much.
I get so tired that I can barely stand up and brush my teeth and climb into bed. And I wonder if I tried to go to bed earlier, if I would have racing thoughts, and I wonder where I'd be at with that.
Yeah, yeah. I have put probably more thought into the sleep habits of Django Boren than you have.
Well,
And
it's just a disorder.
It's amazing, and I respect
like a
it very
switch.
much. You and Sam are just, I have tremendous respect for the way that you're able to sleep, both of you. Just incredible, just out, rested, incredible stuff. Really, hats off. Great work, everybody.
It's
Pack it
not
up, go
healthy,
home.
bud.
I wish I was there. Yesterday, so we got to the airport in Tokyo to come home on Friday at noon, and our airplane was at 4:30 that Friday evening, and then we landed in Seattle at 8:30 on Friday morning. And so that doesn't make sense. And when you stay up all night, which I had to have done because it somehow stayed earlier than it was. I don't really know, but
what if you'd gone around the other way?
Exactly.
Would it have made more sense?
The only way I know that I stayed up for a whole night is that inevitable thing happens where even when you're like 17 and it's high school and there's a new Halo game and you're super excited to be playing Halo with your friends, at some point your stomach turns and it's just like, there's a whole order of operations and sleep is required for this. So you're either going to throw up or, have diarrhea or whatever, but you have to pay the price now. And I got there on the shuttle ride back to Bellingham. But we got back, and that night, Sam went to bed at 10 at night and slept until 1 in the afternoon the next day, and then got up for 2 hours and then slept for 5 hours. And I was like, that is how you do it. I got home, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to sleep real well. And I slept for an hour and a half, and I woke up and was like, okay, I'll unpack. All right, cool. It's midnight. I'm going to go to sleep. And then I woke up at 4 in the morning, and I'm like, I guess I'm going to go play video games till 8 o'clock in the morning and then fall back asleep for 3 hours and then get back up.
You just abused the shit out of your circadian rhythms for 2 weeks.
Exactly. Just a shotgun blast of sleep, awake, maybe, I don't know, pee, I don't know. Hey, well,
listen, for the next week, we're all assuming that you're going to be such a mess that somebody's going to cover your shift because you slept through it, and you shouldn't feel bad about it. You should let your body get back to normal, because the more you force it, the worse it's going to be.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well,
shop's got you.
Today, I haven't slept at all in the day, so that's a big win, right? That means, in theory, I haven't slept since last night.
Yeah,
and I get to go to bed tonight, and in theory, sleep till the morning.
That's what I thought when I got back from China. I had 2 days that I was off, weird, and then I slept the normal amount the next 2 days, and I was like, I'm in the clear. And then I woke up 2 days later.
Yeah,
because I just slept literally for 2 days straight.
I want that real bad. Yeah,
it's
I hope
pretty disorienting.
Yeah, I bet. I bet.
So okay, you went. You were in a couple of super bougie hotels, and you were in hot springs kind of situation, which I can a fancy-ish hot springs situation. I can kind of envision that.
Mm-hmm.
What was the the most raw, low end thing that you did, right? What did you do that seemed the least I have money and I'm a tourist kind of thing?
Oh, you mean I went to McDonald's?
Okay.
It took a week to be able to do that confirmation bias, for all of the people. Oh, the American's going to McDonald's to order his big fat burger.
Dude,
yes.
When I was in China, McDonald's had the best coffee. They over and over and over.
Yeah, so that was the trashiest thing that we did outside of like just stumbling into like straight porn houses with
Okay.
like 15 other people leafing through porn, and you're like, just, oh, it said DVDs and anime, like, okay, like I this is DVDs and anime, but
You're not
somehow
wrong.
they knew that this was different.
What
Like,
so you didn't like stay in a hostel or
no,
sleep on a park bench or a bus station bench or anything like that?
no, I mean, if it hasn't been made clear so far, I have a lot of anxieties around sleeping. So
Okay, sorry. You didn't stay up all night in a
well,
hostel?
yeah. So like, yeah, this was the most like planned, while being very open-ended, but like planned finding, researching hotels that I'd ever done. Oh, Love Hotel. Oh, there's a lot of like made bars over there that I was also too afraid to go into, which they didn't seem as shady as I would think they are.
What do you
Um,
what do you mean made bars?
like girls dressed as maids
Oh, okay.
tending to you
Mm.
like a maid, like, yeah, like
Dusting you and stuff.
exactly, unless you're really into that, in which case they probably wouldn't do that, because like they have to
Right.
draw a line somewhere before pleasure.
Listen, don't move anything on me. Just
Yeah.
dust around it.
Yeah, but I like that. You get that dust on that table. Yeah, so like the super fancy place was the hot spring place. Like Kyoto was like a pretty traditional style place where like like the first day we were there, I just full on walked into a low door, just room full of people, like the staff that spoke almost no English, and then like 9 different travelers all speaking different languages, and me just like walking in full force to a door that was like here.
Right in the head.
Yeah, just like the most, so like every time I walked around that building for the next 4 or 5 days, I was like hunched over, like fully. There was no risk of that happening again because
did
my shame
you-
was so high.
After it happened, did you lift up your arms and say, "I've arrived"?
No, I think I just said, I'm huge. Either that or I'm big. Yeah, but like, I was just, yeah, very, very tall. But yeah, that was like super traditional style. The final place we stayed was in Tokyo, back into Tokyo, but like Tokyo is this insane thing, you guys. It is like, it's
Well,
like Judge
Is there a lot of
Dredd
people there?
mega city. Like it's as far as you can see, it's the city going outwards. So to the point where like there's all these sub cities within there, not subsidiaries, but so yeah, the final time we stayed in Shibuya, which is where there's that crazy walking thing that everyone has seen videos of in the past. But like the train stations are filled with like interesting food and hotels and shopping experiences. And that's kind of, you wouldn't even recognize from the outside that like it's just like looks like a big building, and you go in, you're like, oh, it's malls in the 90s. I love these. And good food too. So like that was the final hotel we stayed in was in a station. And it was like a really kind of central hub spot. And Brian Garside, thanks for filling in for me. I can't wait to hear what you've done. I can't wait to hear what they've learned with a more
Canadian man.
yeah, benevolent. That one was cool, and it was one of those ones that like we started the trip by watching Lost in Translation, which I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Long time ago.
Yeah, long time ago for me too. My dad had gone to see that in Spokane, and I was in like 6th grade, 7th grade maybe, and he came back and he was like, dude, we gotta go to Spokane, you have to like see this movie. And so I rewatched that, which was a very emotional and powerful experience, on top of the movie being an emotional, powerful experience as well, about just sort of like cultural isolation and identity in a foreign land and all this stuff. But in that, we stayed in a hotel that was so much like that. And it was this giant window overlooking all of Tokyo at night, from like a very high floor. So that was one thing that like up until that point, I wouldn't have realized, but I was like, ooh, I would have really liked to have had a room high up in Tokyo at night
Oh yeah.
to like get to see that. And all of the buildings are tall enough that they have blinking red lights so that airplanes don't crash into them, because like buildings over a certain height need to have those. But I'm just so not used to seeing that many buildings of that height squished together. So you're just seeing this like of all
Oh,
these
wow.
red lights blinking at
All a little
different.
bit out of sync.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
magical. And like I was laying in bed in the dark, like looking out, and I saw this like top floor penthouse level, building where I could see like lights moving as if there was like a movie being played in a dark room.
Mhm.
And I could just like feel the people in that room across the city having an experience that I wasn't a part of at all, that I would never be a part of, living their life with no awareness of me, like in my dark room, observing them. And while we're visually close, that separate, it was just like, oh God, I'm really depressed all of a sudden. It was really cool.
I had similar thoughts. Not that it didn't depress me, but I wasn't listening to the same album as you. I had similar thoughts when I was in New York lately, where I was like, the cliche, there's a million stories in the big city. I just looked at the people on all four corners of an intersection. I was like, there are a million stories in this city.
Yeah.
Like every one of these people is doing something. None of them are going to talk to each other, and they're just doing their own thing. It's wild to think about.
It is.
Like what little like worker ants we are on some level.
We also watched the
know?
movie Ants while we were there. Interestingly,
nice.
little DreamWorks shout out there.
Yeah. Well, that's right, folks. This is a comic book podcast from
Comic Book Podcast, Bellingham, Washington.
And
Brought to you this week from Japan.
From Japan, this is Jeff, Django, and Roman talking to you from the Mesopotamian heart of Washington State.
You have been internalizing things. You have heard things that I've said.
I'm somethingizing the things that you've said. We're going to talk about some comics here.
Yeah.
But listen, this is episode 411. I'm Django.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Roman.
And we got a voicemail here from friend.
Hello and happy episode number 411. My friends, Jeff, is that you? Are you back?
Hey, Will.
Oh, that's very exciting. I can't wait to get a nice, warm, tight hug from you when I see you next.
A little presumptuous.
We're headed straight into the holiday shopping season, like Black Friday's in a few days. I guess Thanksgiving is right before that. But it's time to buy some comics for people for the holidays as gifts. I'd love to know what are some of your favorite graphic novels, collected editions, whatever. One of these days I'm going to call this just graphic novels and we're going to go with that. To gift to people for the holiday season. Is there a go-to one? Is there something new that's made it into the rotation that you love to gift people, or you think that we should gift people, or maybe our loved ones should gift us? Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Turnips do love you guys. And that is
Will.
awesome. Thank you, Will. That's a great question. Also, Will is probably more dialed into what books I give people as gifts than most people.
Yeah.
But I will say this is one that Will know about. I can't remember if it was on FOC this week and I loaded it in or something. So it's coming down the pipe, or maybe it was just announced, but there's a deluxe hardcover edition of Helena Windhorn. And that the Tom King, Bilquis Evely miniseries will be a wonderful book to give people, especially since the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, it's the same creative team as that, but that book has gotten a lot of read and share in the last year. So Helen of Windhorn will be an excellent book to give people who may have read Supergirl and liked aspects of that, or maybe didn't. So it's a win-win in multiple situations, and it's a deluxe hardcover, and like that's always good. If you don't like the person, then you get them a copy of Flex Mentallo.
Oh, that's right. The comic that nobody can like.
Yeah, I just, like it's it's if you like the person enough to get them a gift, but like in the kind of thing of like, I got you some vitamins, or like, hey, I got you a spiritual enema.
What about the filth?
Yeah, I haven't finished the filth, so that's probably where I fall off being a good representative of that book.
I think I read all 12 books, but I don't know if I finished it.
I'm afraid to finish it.
Roman, what would you give for a gift?
I just give We 3 to everyone across the board.
That's exactly what I was thinking. The compact edition came out, and I read the first 6 pages, and so I was like, I don't remember this at all, but it looks awesome.
Yeah. That is a phenomenal
It's such a
book.
holiday theme,
And they, the tiny copy just came out, and they did a deluxe hardcover of that within the last like year as well, that we've got copies of. So like, that Frank Quitely art, you can spring for that. Bubba Black says, I've been giving Murder Falcon to my friends because, well, metal. Yes, Murder Falcon is easily like a climbed the ranks into a top tier book to recommend or give to people as gifts, because it is so good.
Yeah, Murder Falcon, Day Tripper, Black Sad would be on my list. It all depends so much on the person.
I got somebody to get the first volume of Scalped recently. I can't remember who it was, because the person that left for Japan died, and I'm here in their place.
Did you leave your chrysalis there? Was it a duty-free chrysalis?
Yeah, exactly. I had to pay for that tax, but yeah, whatever I just said.
Yeah, it was Scalped.
Scalped. I got somebody to buy Scalped recently, and that felt so good, because it's such a like the highest recommendation I could give, but it may have even been Bubba. But I don't talk about it as much as it should be talked about, because
it's
hard to
spectacular. Bubba says it was him.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that, Bubba. And if we can't get you any of the volumes, let me know and I'll loan you a couple.
Yeah.
I think I got them all. Well, the three of us read one comic book in common.
Yes.
One comic book in common. It was One World Under Doom #9 by Ryan North. Ooh, is that R.B. Silva? Silva they're referencing there?
You are better believe it.
R. Better Silva. With color by David Curiel. Jeff, this is the comic that you prioritized reading when you got home over Terminator Metal.
Yep.
Which blew me away. And over Batman Deadpool #1, written by Grant F. Morrison.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us what you thought of this. How did it go?
Full disclosure, I did think that Sean had provided me all of the comics that came out while I was gone in a big stack on the table when I got home, but I was not sure of which portion of the stack was which week, and what therefore was this week and last week. So I thought One World Under Doom #9 was a last week book. And so a part of me was like this is a book that like issue #7 came out, and like on the week that it came out, like I drove down on like a Saturday night from my house to the shop, because I was like, I really want to know what's happening in that book, which is not something that's super common for me to do at this point, unless it's a real special occasion. So like there's been something oddly compelling about this series to me, reading it throughout the whole time. It's a series that like I think would be easy to put in a box as like a very kind of one-dimensional response to the Trump presidency as it stands right now, and just what's been going on in our country. But it's like such a more intricate exploration of that idea than just the simplistic one-dimensional like bad guy becomes all-powerful and dictator fascism. Like there's a whole bunch of like moral questions, and how they were going to get into and out of this whole thing was a big question for me.
Yeah.
And Doom himself is such a compelling character. Like he, more than any villain, I feel like does genuinely believe that he is doing the right thing. Like he is the hero in his mind. So like he's very compelling. And then having what happened with Valeria leading into it, which I love Valeria and Doom's goddaughter godfather relationship because of how I was introduced to me in the Hickman Fantastic Four run. So all of that led into like, I just didn't want to be a week behind on that book. I wanted to know what was happening, and I was really happy that it was, going to be over and I get that closure. And so that was why I went for it first. And I loved it. I loved, like, from the first, there's a very almost Hickman-esque pretentiousness to the framing of the whole issue. And it's kind of like him speaking to Valeria in fairy tale fable about the lengths that he went to bring her back from dying. Spoilers. And
At his hand.
Yeah.
Spoilers. By being decapitated. Spoilers. She got messed up in that last issue, and done in silhouette. Probably an editorial demand, right?
Yeah.
And in the beginning of this issue, her head is positioned in interesting ways. Like, it's almost back on her body, and like it's a thing that gets taken care of pretty quickly. There's 3 or 4 pages where she's headless, but you don't even really see that she's headless in those pages.
Yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah, but also
very brutal.
Interesting, like comic book mechanics and Marvel or Disney timidity to not lean into this horrible thing, right?
What I loved was that it was not an easy answer for a wrap up. Like, it wasn't,
Right.
I was kind of anticipating like, oh, he'll be like, oh, I did this in order to have her come back. I have to undo everything I did, and we'll go back to the status quo before, or something like that. Kind of create the whole time in a bubble that you can undo or something. And they didn't take that easy way out. Like, it was a very logical end route for Doom to have lost this battle, and it was because, like, the ambiguity of, like, does this bad guy have one person in the world that he does care about, and does he care about them so much that he's actually willing to put the worst aspects of what make him a villain aside? Like, and like that, even, it happens, but like, even at the end, it's still like a question. Like, Reed and he can disagree about it. Like, that is so juicy.
Yeah. And the end was horribly printed, but very interesting in the twist.
I forget.
Well, let's get Roman's take
I want
on
Roman's
it,
take on
then,
it.
Yeah, maybe his eyes are better than mine, and he could read what was inside of Doom's helmet.
Oh, you're right. Right.
Yeah. That was so good, because I thought I had forgotten that there was going to be, what is the next series called? That there's going to be a continuing series, The Will of Doom.
Yeah.
After this, so this was all a surprise at the end to me, and and right now I don't have good enough lighting to refresh my memory on what it says inside Doom's helmet, but he basically gives a last will and testament. And
and he says Reed is responsible for executing that will and testament.
To handle his estate.
But we don't know who
right
the beneficiary is.
Right.
No, because Reed has to now take care of Latveria, I think. It was such a good twist, and I love when Marvel does cosmic stuff and does it well.
Yeah,
and that Doom goes to cosmic beings trying to resurrect Valeria, and does his great bargaining, and his final conversation with Reed was great, because Reed is still just so untrusting and so unbelieving that Doom would have given up everything just to save Reed's daughter. But that's what Doom did, essentially. I mean, as far as we know.
And that, like, Reed logically can't really accept that it was a selfless act.
Yeah.
I love that ambiguity, like, because it gets to that question of, like, can there ever be a truly selfless act, right? And so, like, this is into that and an extension of that. And wonderfully spiteful in his punishment of Reed, but like,
Well, and can you trust somebody who's burned you so many times?
right, totally,
Right? Like,
totally.
and that was kind of Reed's struggle through this whole thing. There were points in this where, other than his mistrust in Doom, everything seemed like it was a pretty good idea, and Doom was on the right path to save a lot of shit. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, of course, that wasn't exactly what was going on. And so now Reed is left with this dangling thing. Like, is it okay that Doom did this? Is it like he can't even argue with Doom about it because Doom's
Right.
dead and he has to execute the will.
I love. Yeah, I'm struggling to put it into words, but yeah, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. Can't do it. It's catching up to me. It's catching up to me.
Oh, I thought it was fabulous. Ryan North has been at the top of my writer list for quite a while. I love the different voices that he had when people were being interviewed by the news. Just getting all their different takes on what the what the man on the street thinks about the Doom situation. I like the Doom heart in here.
It's that so often in a disagreement, people are not dealing with the actual issue at hand, but it is their feelings about that issue or their feelings about the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And like in our political world, we on different sides can just view the opponent as a bad guy and not actually look at the meat of the articles of the issue of the thing, right?
Right.
And this is, yeah, exactly like you're saying, like being able to force us to ask the question of like, are we able to be truthful with ourselves in assessing, the responsibility that goes towards making a decision for a ton of people? Like, are we able to be objective, and can we, and does it matter? Like, that's a crazy thing to be exploring in a mainstream Marvel event. Like,
totally.
And is the kind of stuff that I come back to in my day-to-day life all the time. And so to see that, like you just said, like Ryan North, he's like, it's been a really incredible year of new voices in comics.
Yeah.
I mean, Ryan North is not a new voice, but he's been given a kind of new platform to put him in front of me in a way that has been new. And Dennis Camp, Hayden Sherman, like we are getting some, like what a hot lava year. We've been doing this for 10, 12 years now. And I think this is one of the hottest lava years of new voices I've been around.
Yeah. I got a 9.5 for this. I don't know that some contrast in that will and testament would have bumped it up to a 10, but it would have bumped it up to at least a 9.75 because that was some bullshit.
Dude,
that was a bad choice, everybody.
I'm going to give you
Curiel.
I'm going to exactly mimic your score and complaints. Sam was asleep next to me. It was the night that we had gotten back. Like at first I had my lamp on with my glasses off and I was like, well, I'm going to need my glasses for this. And I was like,
wasn't enough.
Nope. And then I was like, I put it by the lamp and I was like, nope. And I had to get my phone out and turn the flashlight on right above the comic in a room with a lamp already on. Like that is either you don't want me to read it or you need to make it easier. But this is not acceptable, Marvel. So 9.5 is fair.
Fix the trade.
Yeah.
Please, God, fix the trade.
Yeah. What was the intention there?
I wonder if Ryan North, because I used to always complain at how in Squirrel Girl how he had the tiny print at the bottom of the pages. I wonder if that's just a Ryan North thing that he gets off on making indecipherable text in his comics.
I think this was intended to be lighter gray or lighter green because there's just not enough contrast there.
There's just in the not enough contrast.
I'm still going to go back with the with I don't like Jeff said my phone flashlight and the magnifying glass that Dino Chipino gave me years ago and read this whole thing over again because I really want to know what it says again. Now I've forgotten what
I just held it up to my light like it was a copy of Martian Manhunter.
Oh, you can do that, yeah.
No, that doesn't help.
Yeah, no, but it was a
I'm
great
just- I'm
reference.
just here to
Oh,
report
I
that's
loved
not
it.
help.
I loved it. Yeah, no, I was
Well,
here for that.
Well, despite that, I'm right out of the gate. I'm going to give this a 10.
10.
Oh, I
Loved it.
love
Loved
to
it.
hear that. Oh,
That's great.
I
Look at
give
the
the
look at
event
that
a
after
10.
credit scene.
The event can have a 10.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
Absolutely.
Roman, yes, you're referring to the new Sorcerer Supreme revelation.
Oh yeah. The last page after after the ads.
Yeah, so that works
Oh,
for
I
you.
didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, right. Roman flips to the back cover when he's reading a comic.
Sure. I got just
So-
like a movie. I got to sit through everything.
So spoilers, right?
All right.
But there's a final page reveal, and Wanda, Scarlet Witch, is the new Sorceress Supreme. Is that locked in? I can't remember. Does she?
It's
is it
not
confirmed?
locked in.
Okay.
Well, at least, I don't think it's locked in because when it showed the cover of, it wasn't this comic, another comic this week showed like Sorcerer Supreme #1 coming up, and it's got Wanda and various other Marvel characters, all with Eye of Agamotto's and Cloaks of Levitations, all like one of them's going to be the Sorcerer Supreme, I guess.
Huh.
All right. All right.
Okay. All right.
Time for a battle, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Time for
I
a
had
battle.
read in an article that like that was going to be the case. So
I mean, Wanda would make sense. Just give it to Wanda.
yeah.
Sure. Well, listen, that's our show this week.
Oh,
Next
Andrew,
week-
please make sure that they know that if they want to hear about comics, to jump to the 1 hour mark, and if they want to hear Jeff navel gaze about his travels, they can start at the beginning and listen until
Nope,
the
they
1
can
hour
go on
mark.
the whole journey. You
It was a
don't
good time,
you don't teleport to Japan, Jeff. You get on an airplane, you sleep in an ostracization chamber.
dude.
wake up-
Would
wake
you?
up sick.
Okay, this is important. This is
All right.
important. Would you believe me if I told you that I was told immediately after blowing up an ostracism shame chamber to be ready to take a nap into? Would you believe that they told me that due to a change in rules and regulations, those are no longer allowed?
What?
And
Really?
can you even imagine how it feels to be told that after you have decided in yourself that you are going to do that? That you
Oh
are
my
going to
God.
blow up this inflatable shame chamber to
Yeah.
take a nap? I used it flying to Japan. That was a lifesaver. I would have loved to use it on the way back. And I don't know. He didn't
Maybe it's a Japan thing.
he didn't give me a clear explanation as to why. He said something about the window. I'm like,
Were you
My
in an
wife-
exit row?
no. So you know that the rebellious, 14-year-old high school student who's told he's not able to have a messenger bag, like by the principal, like, I was contemptuous as hell for the
Did you
next 9
say-
hours.
I'm gonna go into the bathroom and
Yeah.
use it there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what? I just trying to like create why? There's no reason. This
Oh,
is
man.
ridiculous. So,
That
we need to do
sucks.
some research, but
That's like everybody who just had the brown acid when they get on the PA and say, whatever you do.
don't take the brown out.
I just emptied my lungs into
I
this
just
thing.
want to put my face in it. Look at how dumb I look. I'm
Did it
here.
help you on the way there at least?
Oh yeah.
It's pretty
I-
comfortable, right?
I think I slept for 4 hours of the 10-hour ride to Japan, and
On the
all
thing.
of that would be credited to the shame chamber, the ostracization chamber, the isolation nest, the crow's bend. It was. Oh wow. But yes. Anyway, so
Well, listen, if you want to be on the show like Will, send us an email, voicemail, get a hold of us. We like doing those.
we do.
We do it. We do this every week, and we'd love to hear from you. We also, thanks to everybody who watched in the chat. At one point here, for about 10 seconds, we had 15 times our normal watchers, and then
Wow.
they all went away. I don't know what happened. I've got no idea.
He's just talking about
what's going on,
Japan.
but,
He's just
Yeah, it was interesting. So I hope people come back. I hope you stay more than 10 seconds, and get a hold of us. Jeff at thecomicsplace.com is the best email address to send Jeff voicemail or an email to get read out on here. We will be back next week, and I'll bet that we talk about a couple of the number ones from this week next week after we've all had a chance to read them, because not only has Jeff not read a handful of comics, I only got through about
something.
9 of the 350 comics that I took home this week. And Roman, you're just going to have to keep those suckers in your head because I know you read all 38 or whatever.
Yeah, he's a machine.
I did. I read the stack of comics.
Oh, and then Jeff just blathered about Japan.
It's a
No,
big...
I want to hear about. Now I want to hear about why wouldn't the principal let you have a messenger bag?
It was from an anime, and it had a pentagram on it because the anime was Hellsing.
Oh.
And he tried to tell me that it was because I wasn't allowed to have a messenger bag, which doesn't make any sense.
But it was the Satan.
Yeah,
But I
You weren't-
think the pentagram.
yeah, you weren't allowed to have a satanic messenger bag.
Yeah, it's from a cartoon show.
Did you say, hang on, let me take out my trench coat and my
Yeah,
Big
exactly.
Dick's shirt and
Yeah.
my Big Johnson shirt.
Yeah.
And, then I can turn this messenger bag over to you.
Walmart bought Big Johnson shirt.
All right, everybody.
yeah.
I'm Django.
I'm Jeff. Great work.